Hello, and welcome everyone. Um, Welcome to the PTCS one review. I'm joined with Aster.
Hello, everybody.
So I'm going to try something. Let's see, will this work? I think if I do this, there we go. So PTCS one formats. We're gonna try to go through this a little quickly. Instead of slides, I'm using the next best thing. The Swiss Army knife, known as Excel. Um, so yeah, we had a bunch of tournaments. It was the Perfect Team Championship Series. These were all the different formats. Uh, I qualified for seven. It was a lot of work. I don't know if I'm going to be putting in the work to qualify for another seven for the next period. It was definitely fun. I don't know. Did you have fun?
Um, yeah, right up until the very end.
Yeah.
Uh, I had kind of an odd day in that I was home for the first few rounds, and then I went to the baseball game with my family, and I got home just in time to see the uh, congratulations, you won a card, and I thought that meant that I'd won, but then I saw behind that and behind the timing was the announcement of the logon reward, so that covered it up. And then when I closed that, then I saw sorry you did not win, um, and that's how I found out that I finished second. Won the went 7 games. Um,
Which one?
so
That was the wild card.
that was the no, the open.
Oh, okay.
Um, no, no, I'm sorry. Open, I finished second, but that was the one that I lost in five. Weekly was the one, the dead ball to boom, um, was the one that I lost in seven.
Um, I I lost in bronze in the round one, and I had been running a lot of the iron historical cap, which is I had whatever these three tournaments. I kept on running it. I won it a couple of times while gathering data, and so I felt like I had a good idea of like what cards would play, and I lost in round one, and it was kind of like that. That's the one I think Hip and Nedoc won. Not a format you would expect him to dominate in, but he does well in lots of stuff. So why not?
Well, I mean, and Bronze Live is just a tournament where the cards are just all kind of you know so flawed that it really was just about how well I would think. I mean, I didn't qualify for bronze, but I would think of it as just next as in just which cards are going to fit the format. So if you're used to era-based tournaments and had an idea of like what rating categories to like focus on, I think building for that, especially it being an open format, you can do a lot of different things. Um, we'll get into a little bit some of the strategy of being 1953 settings and some very loose caps. That there were a lot of kind of fun wrinkles that you could try. I limited how much I did that mainly because I wasn't going to be home for the later round, so I kind of had to employ a little bit more of a vanilla strategy because I didn't know who my later round opponents were going to be. But for the first few rounds, I definitely mix things up a little bit. We'll look at some data first, but there's a couple of strategy things that I think we can talk about. How it was used in this format, and then kind of the way you can look to employ it in the future.
Yeah. Gold cap I think was the furthest I got. I got a Virgil Trucks that I think I sold for 30K. I don't know how much he's going for now, but
So that's the quarterfinals. That's pretty solid.
yeah. That was kind of interesting too because I didn't have a lot of the future legends. The I think I ran Gold Chipper and Lance Berkman. I think they did a lot of heavy lifting. Diamond Open. I think I got it was either I forget. I think it was PD Weekly was the other one that I got a Smoltz, and then it must have been the weekly. I think I got a Harrelson or something like that. So a couple of cards, which is kind of pretty good uh, for 7 chances. I, yeah, I just lost in a daily bronze floor cap, so in the semifinals. So, ooh, and gold choice pack. Um, Not sure if there's any more gold choice cards that I need. Yeah. Uh, um, so I have pretty much data from the 7 tournaments I did. You got me data from the wild card because I wasn't in that one. So let's kind of take a look at let's take a look at some data. So
Okay.
uh, if we scroll down, we can see that this is what we presented previously. Just like the ridiculous differences in um, walks, K per nines. So really, I can kind of like copy this and maybe like paste this here. We can kind of see what we thought was going to happen in 1955 versus. So this is all the tournaments put together, which is probably not the best way to look at this. If I kind of delete that,
It makes it Franken data.
Franken data for sure. So,
But I mean, one of the things I guess you can toggle right and just show the results for individual ones, right?
yep. So I can do that. Let me just do some magic here. So like for open, we can compare open. I guess I can kind of just move this kind of over-ish here. You can kind of see K per nine versus historical iron. The walks were way up, way up in open. Home runs were home runs were a little bit up, I guess, and then ERA slightly up. And so yeah, as we kind of cycle through, um,
Oh, why? Yeah. So bronze with the live cards, you have a lot less walks and a lot less home runs and lower runs scored per game. That's interesting.
but more BABIP. So I remember way back when uh, it seemed like the live cards, any of the live tournaments seemed to have had a higher BABIP than the other tournaments, and we can kind of see that
Sure,
as we kind of go through. Let's see. Silver is data I kind of imported from Snailman, who
sure.
won it. So, but yeah, you
So
can kind of see.
so the walk rate was very similar to open. The home run rate was all about the same.
Yeah, gold.
Go down a little bit again. It's interesting, but the overall run environment is a bit higher.
Yeah,
How about diamond?
walks way up. Home runs
Oh
way
yeah,
up, which I think is just based on the quality of the cards there.
sure.
Open was a cap, right? Or no? Open was not a cap.
Uh,
Open was
open was
just.
not a cap.
So it's kind of like, I guess if you look, it's interesting. I know it's kind of still small sample size, but more home runs were hit in diamond than in open.
Sure.
Wild card way down. Uh,
Yeah, runs. That's the lowest. Yeah, that was a very tight cap, so that makes sense. Although it was a silver floor, so you still were looking at pretty decent cards for the most part. But that's interesting. That was the lowest run burn.
and then daily perfect draft way down,
Yeah,
which I think is
way down.
like just you're constrained by the number, by like the card you're given. So if you're not
Sure.
given cards that can hit power, then
Right.
you're in a bit of trouble. Um, Continuing on the weekly, numbers kind of go back up, and the weekly again was the Dead Ball the Boom.
Right. And that was a
Uh,
very loose cap. So
then finally the weekly PD, which I think was a double draft, right?
yeah, but
Yeah.
not that much of a little, not that much of a difference from the daily PD.
So yeah, so I guess let's look at some of the pictures. So what format do you want to take a look at? Like maybe the gold cap.
Um, yeah, let's start with gold. Would be one would be interesting to see.
And so there's a few. I have to kind of update this, but there's a few things you wanted me to add that I didn't end up doing.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, fine for the purpose of today. Um,
ERA, which I think I have. Uh, where is it? We can we should be able to add this. League ERA. Yeah, let's do that. Um, number. Yeah, that's fine. And then lower better. So ERA, and then let's also look at RA per nine. Do I have that? I think I do somewhere.
so yeah, while you're working on that, it's interesting to note that the guys that I had a feeling were going to be playing the most were the three lefties: Vita Blue, Johnny Antonelli, and Slim Jones. Looks like they got the most work, with Gary Peters coming in fourth. So I think a lot of people went with the three-man rotation and went with three lefties, um, which that does seem to be the lean in gold, is to go with an all lefty rotation uh, right now. But one of the things that was interesting is I noticed when I started playing and started the tournament is that my first round opponent and several of my early round opponents had very righty heavy lineups, clearly anticipating a bunch of lefties. So I actually, you know, switched it up and went with a bunch of righties in my rotation and went with Bryn Smith and um, Tim Hudson, and then also um, we'll see more, whose stamina, didn't even really particularly play all that well um, in 1953. He had trouble getting through a lot of innings.
So this is what your team did. Uh,
Okay, so yeah, so those were my three starters.
Drop in.
Hudson didn't do particularly well. I was really surprised by that walk rate.
Whoops.
That's pretty bad. Um, but I think he has much higher stuff than control than we'll see Moore, and somehow Moore ended up not walking. I think Moore has by far the worst control of the three, and the best walk rate. Which, when you're talking about small sample sizes, obviously you can get weird things like that. But my idea was that I was just kind of going based on what the lineups looked like of the teams that I was facing. So I had three lefty starters and three righty starters on my team, and I was just mixing and matching based on who I was up against. Um, that's one of the things with a cap that was that crazy big, even though it really didn't need that many quality pitchers. I just felt like it was nice to have that flexibility, and I probably would have used it more if I'd been around, and obviously if I stayed in it longer. But it was kind of fun to have that flexibility, and it was a good an open format or a really loose cap. That's something that you can definitely do, is have a whole slate of lefty starters and a whole slate of righty starters, and just look at what your opponent has available to them. um, Now, if it's an open format, they might have a full slate of lefty hitters and a full slate of righty hitters, so you can't really necessarily mix and match as well. But in a camp, sometimes people and also people who are not as proficient in building rosters might just have an imbalance in terms of which side they.
So we can look at if this conditional formatting works. Is this gonna work? Oh, I see why. Um, so yeah, so this was won by KJ. Uh, so I guess this was the one oh yeah, this was the one McNoosh I think knocked me out in the semifinals.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, so just kind of looking through. Um, I went the traditional,
All
Vita,
lefties.
Slim, Antonelli, and it looks like I think that was I think they performed better. I guess. Uh, don't really have
Performed
Woba on
pretty well.
here. Pitcher Woba, just dump that on the end. So yeah, so it looks like P Woba was around 326, so they were doing fairly well. Uh, oh, uh, we have some iron data coming in. You can see the magic of how it gets appended to the rest, maybe, unless everything goes to hell. Uh, so let me just dump this in real quick, and hopefully it makes sense. Otherwise, we'll just kick it out. Data tab. Just don't mind me. Just behind the curtain. I think iron. I think was 0-1, right? Oh, Excel doing wonderful things. 10000 iron. So now we have all the data. Um,
Okay.
so coming back here, pictures. Okay. Yeah. So Antonelli did the worst in terms of batters. The whole point of playing Slim Jones was was to be uh, to
Get
hit.
his bat in there.
Yeah.
His bat
So
was pretty.
it looks like the best
Well,
hitters were like Bobby Matthews and Herb Score, but who knows how many plate appearances they had. Um,
yeah.
we could actually pull this in with the power of Excel. Uh, so yeah, Slim Jones. Everyone watched our stream, and like 1992 and 1958, someone told me that you had worked on a guide. Any chance you could give me the link? Hero Driver, we did a review on Durden's channel. At me in the Discord, and I can find the link for you. Where it's like basically one big spreadsheet like this with each of the years. Um, although you know, uh, like this 1952 and 1955 from last year, it looks a lot different than this year. Um, so yeah, one thing from this that really got me was these stolen base numbers. So let's take a look at that. Um, so again, um, this was the ooh, this was the I think top 50 or something. Top 25. Top
Yeah. I
25.
would. Yeah, I was gonna go 25. That's not exactly 50,
Yeah.
but um. Okay, so while you're looking at this stolen base stuff, let me take a look. Um, so not a surprising list of players at the top, with Cassis and Chipper. I think Berkman being pretty far down on the list probably had a lot to do with the number of people that were playing lefty starters, um, and Berkman probably struggled versus that. It's interesting though to see, given that how good Howard is, despite the fact that he was probably, although without a few amount of plate appearances, he might have just been platooned because there was a good amount of room for platoons. So um, he only got that many plate appearances, I would say he was probably this is a platoon batch just against righties. But um, so it looks like Strang got the most play. That's not surprising. Followed by Chipper, Schmidt, usual. Terribly surprising.
So it looks like not everyone had the stolen base slider off, which you pretty much have to have. Uh, but let's look up,
Except for except for Dink. That's interesting.
and then oh, this is weird. How do you have zero stolen base attempts over 600? But there's an error in the data. Uh, hold on. Let's do some sleuthing here. Super sleuth. Uh, stolen bases over stolen bases. Then what was this column? Oh, this is. Oh, that's stolen base attempts. That was pitching. Oh, so I guess Hoyle's pitched an inning. I picked the wrong data value for that. Whoopsie.
Okay.
Uh, let's do. Whoops. Stolen base plus caught stealing. There we go. Here we go.
Okay.
Okay. I think numbers make sense now. And then we can call this stolen base percent, and voila.
And can we look at the stolen base percentage overall for the entire hitter pool?
Yeah, yeah. Let's add that here. Stolen base percent. So it's 50%,
Okay.
which was a little better than if I take whatever the second one and dump it up here. Uh, so yeah, people playing historical iron, check your sliders. You shouldn't be stealing.
Okay. Well, but and even with at 50%, you probably shouldn't be stealing that much. But there's by the time you get to gold level players, there's probably a couple guys that maybe can be half decent. Because looking at that, if we go back to the batter results, so Granderson was at 79% at 14 attempts. Yeah,
Here,
really.
we can
Actually,
do
there's like kind of
this.
nobody that's particularly good, but um, I guess maybe I take that back. There really isn't anybody in gold that I.
Let's see. Let's go the top 25 in stolen base attempts per 600, and then let's sort this by stolen base percentage. So Solly Hoffman, with his 13 plate appearances,
Yeah.
uh,
So he was successful in his probably. So
so
yeah, unfortunately, those guys were all basically one attempt. So only like real volume guy who was successful stealing bases was Jethro.
yeah, Jethro and Ricky Henderson.
Okay, well, Ricky makes sense. Um,
But even looks like I don't. I do I have? I think I might have a WSB. Yeah. Let's see if this actually makes sense. Yeah. Uh, no, WSB is my WSB calculation is not working.
okay.
Oh no. I think I know what. Let's try this other one. So it looks like probably Derek Jeter got a couple of steals in, but even then, this may not be that useful. But you can quickly see like a lot of people were uh, bleeding, bleeding runs basically.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you know in some of these it looks like the historical date the eras really hurts stolen
So,
base success rate.
so which format do you think would have the highest? Like if I click on another
Um,
one.
Probably uh, open was OTP era cards. There were some speedsters like Volpe in there. That might be.
Maybe I'll have to hold on. Maybe I'll have to go back to go look at plate appearances instead of stolen base attempts. Here we go. Abreu. Well, it quickly gets pretty
Oh
bad.
yeah, and Volpe was not good. Wow, only 40% on 11 attempts for 600. But nobody was really even trying in open, and nobody was particularly successful either. Yeah, don't steal.
In the current run environment, until it changes, yeah, the recommendation is only steal with. It should basically be off unless you have one or two guys. I think like let's look at it overall. Like who's the highest? If I take a look at all this data, Jackie.
Yeah, Jackie. I think you can. I think you can steal with Jackie. I definitely let him run a little bit in league, and he's been around 70, 80%.
So yeah, so I think that the current run environment, yes, the current run environment. Um, yeah, so basically, I think we highlighted this when we were talking about it here, but like, yeah, I think the historical iron people just need to turn off their sliders. Any iron players
Yeah,
out there, check your steel sliders. That's the tip of the week. So yeah. What so what else do we want to do tonight? We can
Um,
look at teams. We can look at
so
um,
that's teams. Can you go back to that teams
oh,
page again? A second.
so
That's teams in all the tournaments.
yeah. Apparently, Mr. McNoosh is did quite well. Um,
Yeah,
I
I think
think
he was in. I think he was in eight or nine.
this is almost. I would like to do like a correlation between like this. Actually, hold on. Uh, Maybe let me see if I refresh this. Will it break everything? Because now that this is gonna be every tournament, uh, I should have iron now. Yeah. So this is every tournament, assuming that the iron data is correct. And yeah, you can kind of see. Um, this is basically like this is very close to uh, the PTMS rankings actually. Because if I like take
Uh,
out the daily PD and I take out the weekly PD,
yeah,
then
I think. Um, yeah, largely is because I mean,
it
I
makes
think
sense though, right?
Noosh and I are like ninth and tenth because we didn't actually win one, but we had a number of high finishes. Um, but Springboks got a win.
Oh, right.
Uh, Canis Lithuanica Green did.
Yeah.
Um, under no, Hawkinson Cockatiels did. Um, trying to think, Snails
Snails
did.
did.
Um, Biffers did.
Yeah.
Um,
I blame that first round loss in the bronze cap to because I only qualified for five of these, five of the seven.
right.
But yeah, this is
Interesting.
kind of neat. Neat
Yep.
view, and then if we look at the just the perfect drafts, uh, did Snail? No, Joe Buck yourself won, and I
Right.
think the Flamingos won.
No, I think the Slam Francisco Sharks.
Uh, I do not know why the wins and the losses don't match up. I can kind of break it down, I guess, which would probably indicate why they don't match up. Oh, because I know why. I'm using the wrong count for game started. There we go.
Okay. Now they match up.
We've fixed the bug in production. Um, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Uh, yes, fixed. So yeah, which uh, which format do you want to talk
Um,
about?
so actually, you know what? Can we do like let's look at silver. Can you pull up Snailman's team
Oh, okay. Do you want to see the batters or the pitchers?
pictures?
Pitchers. All right. Silver. FFFFFFFFFFF snails. So he
So
ran.
he ran a three-man rotation.
These numbers look really good,
Yeah,
considering his Terrace McDuffie went gangbusters. I guess that's pretty high WOBA. How many plate appearances did he have? Oh, he had a first round bye. Where do I have plate appearances? I'll drop the plate appearances out to the end. Um, so yeah,
that'll definitely skew the numbers then.
that's unfortunate. First round bye because like Silver wasn't that crazy, right? Like Silver was what historical.
Yeah, it was a silver historical cap. I mean, probably was just. I do think that they did a poor job of kind of letting people know that they'd qualified. Like you had to know to look to see that you qualified, and then happen to notice the extra tournament. So if somebody played a little bit of the like the dailies, but like really wasn't kind of dialed into what's going on with PTCS, PTMS, could easily have. It sounded like just seeing on Discord that people kind of were surprised that they were suddenly in these tournaments. So you can definitely see that there were probably some people who just either forgot about it or didn't even realize that they were in and just never put in a roster.
You Snail, if you're still in the chat, you faced McNoosh in the finals. I'm guessing by the team breakout. I guess you could have. No. Yeah, you'd probably have to have faced McNoosh. So yeah, I guess like it looks like McNoosh kind of. Just looking at his pictures, I'm guessing McNoosh spent a lot of time. Approximately knew nothing about the quick reform just for the tournament. Yeah, yeah. I think in general, there's always room for improvement in terms of communication. Um, but man, how do you have Robin Roberts go 14? That that
Well, probably a lot of days off. Finished finished a round early. Like if you have a lot of sweeps, um, you can often wow, 28-3. Oh my goodness. Um, Very impressive. But if you have some sweeps, then if you're in three-man rotation, if Roberts pitches game one and then he pitches game four, but then gets 3 days off, then he's pitching game one again and he's pitching game four. So I think that's how you end up with your ace and with a three-man rotation in a 7-game series. You can end up with your ace pitching a bunch of extra games.
like I guess it. I wonder. You don't have to give away all your secrets, you wizard. But like this distribution of pitching versus McNush's is a little odd because this is what I would more expect. But I guess if you win, yeah, I don't understand. That 14 is kind of weird. I feel like he must have been microwing or something.
Yeah, but I mean, he was getting full starts from Roberts in those 14 games. Um,
Let's take a look at
so
like the pitching, I guess. Uh, let's add this in. Do some. Pivot table magic. X. Pitch per game started. Pitch game started.
Yeah, one of the things is that the game doesn't always go back to your ace, even if he's rested. Um, if that's not the if that's not where it was left off in the rotation. So um, yeah. So sometimes if you're around and you're microing, you can make sure to move it back to your ace for game one, um, even if he wasn't, as long as he's 100%. But if he wasn't the last guy to, or the last guy to pitch, then it'll adjust that. So
Yeah, I don't know. It seems so. If we just go back and kind of uh, look like, kind of just looking at the numbers. Like I have, I've have a pitching kind of crib sheet. I'll dump this in here. Whoops. No, let's. If I do that and then dump this in. So this is kind of like my crib sheet for pitching, and we were in 1958. So it even seems like having a max of 160 in 1958. I don't think it ever seemed to happen. Like it seems like
well,
we kind of.
I don't think very many of the silver starters have stamina of 100 plus.
Okay.
I mean, Day is well below. Um,
Ooh, 342. Oh, did I mess it? Oh, did I mess this up again?
I would hope so, because
Did
poor
I?
Zach Greinke throwing 3,675 pitches per game start would be on the rough side.
Brilliant, brilliant. I'm
Okay,
good with
Roberts
Excel.
is 99 down. Okay.
Yeah. So, like, I wonder if this is like a combination of like Toji Pittenger. Like, no one like sliders and.
Oh, definitely. I mean, you know, it was not super. It wasn't a very loose cap for silver, so you were probably trying to get close to getting you know uh, getting complete games out of your starters for the most part, because you may not have had a ton of points for the bullpen, um, but I just don't. I also don't think that you're all that likely to to hit 160 pitches unless it's a game that goes extra innings. Um, if the walk rate had been like what we might have been expecting at like 5.5, then I think you would have seen higher pitch counts. But um,
Oh, we can do another thing too to kind of look because that's a good point in that it's not quite a matter of pitch count, but it's also pitches per or innings pitched per game started. That's another one. Uh, Fixed. Because I think that's another kind of metric that people have kind of. I've started kind of very, very. Uh, yeah, so like they didn't have to pitch enough.
right, they had to go the distance, but it's not like they went. You didn't have the 14, 15 inning games,
Yeah,
uh,
okay.
and so you know to go 120, 130 pitches in a complete game is kind of fairly normal. I mean, some of the guys that have the higher, the 10 plus walk percentage, I would think maybe would be on the higher side. Um, like you see, like Blue Moon Odom, was pitching around a little over 8 innings pitch per game, but was throwing a lot of pitches because he was walking so many people, and wasn't letting up that many home runs and wasn't striking out a ton of guys. So he was definitely not very pitch efficient. But that's interesting.
Yeah, so pretty much everyone, at least I guess in silver, all the, well, I don't want to say good pitchers, but I guess it's a bit counterintuitive. Well, good pitchers will stay in games longer, so it makes sense that people with a higher WOBA or lower WOBA are going to do better than like someone like Bob Feller
Sure.
or
Yeah, I mean that
like
Bob Feller was a 20% walk rate. Just was not for this era, this format was not a good fit. Um, the strikeout rate was great, but he was just getting pummeled by all those walks.
yeah, yep, yeah. So I guess if we look at like something like gold, which is kind of crazy, you still had Jesse Flores in his 14 games pitched 10 innings a game.
Right. Yeah, I mean you're always going to have some outliers in the data, especially with these small sample sizes. That a couple of extra inning games will kind of boost up the numbers.
Here's Robin Roberts hitting up to 142.
Mm.
Um,
What take a look at maybe one of the open formats.
yeah, I'll just add a few more little colors. Let's do wild card.
Okay.
Ray Prim, everyone's favorite pitcher.
Kidney says he's the best pitcher in the game.
Uh, I was thinking of selling my Ray Prim recently. I was like, is there a use for him? If I sold
You
him,
just sell whoever Kidney says is the best pitcher in the game. Is that your strategy?
it's a counter strategy. Um, but yeah, I guess this.
Just in case somebody doesn't know and they get mad at Kidneys, Ray Prim is not the best pitcher in the game. Kidneys doesn't say that. Um, he's just been a little bit too aggressive in being mad at Ray Prim for existing. That I'm giving him a hard time.
I,
Um,
but he did work here, you know.
yeah, that's 28-8 is even that's amazing. That's really surprising.
Let's do data bars. No, I messed up. Clear rules. Selected cells. We just want data bars here. Um,
Oh wow, colors.
yeah, I think red blue is okay for colorblind people. Um, yeah, Dolph. I don't know Dolph Atlee. This was wild card, which wild card was silver floor.
And it was a very tight cap, so it was hard to fit in a lot of these top high diamond perfect pitchers.
but it seemed like they paid off though, right? Like, unless you put
Yeah,
in the bird, Mark Fidrich. That was probably not the best one, or I guess.
I mean
Oh, this is interesting. Someone played Digo
yeah,
as.
well I played Diego, um, and
Did you start him
I
18 times though?
no. Um, I think I lost in the second or third round of this, so I definitely would not have gotten that many of these starts. Probably at least one or two other people that used him, but I kind of was worried that he just wasn't going to be close to good enough pitcher. But I just thought with this head of a cap to get his bat, in the lineup would offset it. Looking at this, I'd have to look at what he did. Maybe if we look at what he did offensively. Um,
He was a
but
343 Woba.
okay, so but how does that compare with like other top hitters?
Uh, I don't even have Woba in here. I have WRC plus. Why don't I just add WRC plus in here? No one knows what Woba means. He was 113.
Okay,
So, uh,
oh Hamlet played Diego and won with him. Interesting.
Uh,
So I
so yeah,
just got the short end of the Dihigo stick.
pitching with an oboe. Yeah, Dolph did reasonable as a batter. Tiant, Rube Foster, Tannehill. Uh,
Kidneys. What other format would you have played Dihigo besides wild card? The weekly, and that was such a loose cap that I didn't feel that like I wouldn't have pitched him in weekly. I think I had him. I think I might have had him on my roster as a kind of super utility, but I don't think I would have used him as a two-way in that format because you had Joss, Tannehill, Luque, um, a lot of other better pitchers. It's not like you really needed the cap points like you did in wild card.
so uh, let's start wrapping up.
Okay.
Um, so this was perfect draft. The
Okay.
both the daily and the weekly, so you get to kind of see, uh, distribution of pitchers. Like not a lot of silvers, which I thought was kind of interesting. But I guess with only three SPs needed, people kind of leaned into getting one of the probably good gold pitchers, or they kind of reached on the first one, which I think like I guess if you got like a Tannehill or a Joss or the Rube Foster is kind of interesting, but he was kind of a negative. So
Yeah.
maybe kidneys or snails or someone who knows if you have a negative WRC plus, are you more than 200? Are you worse than like are you 100% worse than an average player? Is that how that works? Or is it if you had a WRC plus of 50, are you twice as bad as a regular player type of thing? I was thinking about this because like I know positive it's easy to make like if you have a WRC plus of like 200, that means you're two times as good as a average player.
Right.
But is it like half as much going the other way? It being 100 skill is done. All right, that's your answer. Um, yeah. Uh, so yeah, nothing really kind of you see here, I guess. Yuri Perez, I'm just going down the list. Yuri Perez, I'm guessing his walk rate torched him. No, uh, his PBABIP. I guess his PBABIP was really high. Uh, ERA was
I think
high.
400 innings could just be,
Too little.
variance. Because which format is this?
This
This
is
is in
both the
perfect
daily,
drafts.
yeah, the daily, weekly, perfect
Perfect
drafts,
drafts.
which I think were just
Yeah, I just
regular.
think I think I think if you ran this a bunch of times and had more data, I think he'd be a little bit closer to the top.
Because like his walk rate's a little high. I think his home rate is high. So I think he just got like bit by gopher ball. Because I don't think his like real. I don't think his just data looks like defense more than Yuri. Yeah, got some bad breaks. That's the story we're going with here. Um, I feel sorry for all the people who picked Yuri expecting greatness.
Yeah, I think
His home run rate is kind of low comparatively. It's like 82 and 90. Yeah,
right.
this is only SPs. Or this is only people who have a game started. Um,
Yeah, I mean when guys are pitching eight plus innings per game start, bullpen just, unless you really were actively trying to get your bullpen involved, um, by limiting how much your starters pitched, just most people weren't really going to get much results from it.
Yeah, I think this home run percentage is just way. There's not enough samples for this home run percentage to make any sense because
No.
Frank Owen has 90 home run and yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's always the danger when we're looking at one tournament's worth of data for individual pitchers. You get an idea of just kind of generally what shapes work well, but you can't always, individual guys just can be, you know, one or two really bad outings can really just, you know skew the data. Also, a team that has took a good pitcher, but like, somebody might have taken Yuri Perez in the first round and then drafted a bunch of good hitters that were terrible defenders, and so um, they ended up hurting Perez's numbers for that person for however long.
yeah. This is again. Don't steal in 1953. Wow. Yeah. So yeah, unless anyone has kind of uh, any specific acts they want to see from the data, then I think we're gonna kind of wrap it up.
Sounds good.
Um, yeah, I think Joaquim Soria. What is? There's no Joaquim Soria in this. So yeah, overall, I don't know. I thought yeah, some of the tournament formats were a little wonky. Trying to build for seven of them was definitely. Tell me why I got unlucky and how it's not my fault. For what format? I'll do one format for you, Mr. Kidneys. Take a look at low iron starting pitchers, please. Sure. Okay. Wild card. Uh, Low iron starting pitchers. So Curly Ogden apparently did the most work. Brunette, Ortega. I think I've been running Ortega in 1955, I think, and he's been doing okay. I think Catfish has been doing okay. I remember Liska and Knudsen. Ogden, I haven't really heard of. Brunette. You can see all of them were kind of bad. Antonio Senzatella, apparently. Um, but yeah, again, super small
Certainly the guy
sample
who got
size.
the most play along with Burn, but we're not necessarily the best options.
Her infinitely stunk for me. Yeah, yeah. Small sample size. It's interesting too that like the iron pitchers didn't go that far. I'm actually kind of interested. Did the bronze pitchers not go that far either? Interesting. So basically, uh,
That makes sense. The live guys, for the most part, have very low stam.
they have lower stamina and probably better batters, I guess. What's a good range for a sample size? For innings pitched, like 2,000 ish. You could probably get away with around 500. So like Urquidy is probably where he should be. Anderson is probably where he should be. These guys are maybe a little higher, I would say.
Yeah,
Um,
well, I mean, the point of it is when it's a small sample like that, like, Kopech 379 innings, it could actually be that that's exactly right. Um, but you would have no idea of knowing if you have that few innings.
all right, let's take a look at wild card kidneys limited edition Burley. It's because I didn't have a limited edition 1,000 innings pitched, 5,000 plate appearances. Those are probably good numbers. Um, BABIPs were super high. You got BABIPed. You got BABIPed, bro. You got BABIPed. Wildcard BABIP is 227. Uh, yeah, I don't have defensive. My defense was made was good though. Yeah, I guess I could throw in a quick zone rating stuff, but let's just do some magic with Excel. Uh, let's call this XFIP. Uh, and then let's look at zone rating per 1400. 1400 times zone rating divided by XFIP. What? What did I do wrong? Oh, I forgot something.
I think something. Forgot.
XF zone rating. Let's look at zone rating because zone rating is a real statistic that we should all care about. Um, that's not sarcasm in my voice, but it kind of there are things that I do not trust about zone rating, but it's something that we can look at.
The fact that Chipper Jones has a positive number.
Might as well. Uh, let's just whatever. Let's just do some stuff. Fun with numbers. That's what we're doing, right? Some may argue that there may be a random number generator somewhere within the OOTP engine. We missed the dabs. Where's the dabs? I don't know. Furcal looked good. Hayward looked good. Uh, Apodaca with his 35 zone rating per 1400 innings. Yeah, I don't know. Giambi, it looks like your corner outfielders did poorly. Tony Phillips probably did well. Uh, -2 in 20 games in right field league. Yeah, I guess like if we were gonna, get rid of everyone kind of look, like Mookie Betts was probably biggest. Um, um, yeah, I don't know. It's fielding statistics like what does it correlate at a rate like much even slower than uh, anything else in the game. It's about as
That's
slow as
interesting.
training.
But that's interesting looking at those numbers that Chipper had the highest home run percentage.
Oh,
Um, that surprises me.
Chipper?
I mean, of anybody on that list,
This gold
the
chipper
top
though.
bats. Yeah. Well, yeah, wild card. He would be a perfect fit because it's a gap. You want to get, that bat plays at like a perfect level.
Yeah.
Just the fact that it was the best bat in the format and it's a gold card is pretty impressive.
Right.
I mean, the defense is pretty bad, and most of the perfect cards that you're comparing against can actually play, like Stearns and Mookie,
Well, like if
Wells.
we go look at third base and
Right.
I don't know, kick this up to oh, I have to do we can do some magic, I think. Let's drop this in here. Let's drop this in here and call this fielding IP.
Wait, the chipper has 120 power. I don't think that's right.
No? Uh,
I thought it was. It's good power, but I don't think it's like. Um, it's not one of the top gold cards in power.
hold on one
Oh,
second.
117 versus left. Okay.
Let me throw up some more fielding position. Oops, no, that's not what I want. Hold on 1 second.
Do you want to wrap it up so people can go their mothership drops?
Yeah. So yeah. So thanks everyone. Yeah. Um, you
Good
know.
luck to everybody in qualifying for PTCS 2,
Yep.
and we will talk to you soon.
Yep. So main is up.
I believe so. I just got a notification.
Okay. Bye everyone. Thanks for coming.
Have a good night.
Yep. Bye.